Project scheduling. So, what is project scheduling? We know that project scheduling is a technique to determine the layout for jobs, to determine layouts for jobs or activities uh, that jobs to allocate resources or time or labor. This is the technique of scheduling. It is the layout for a job to allocate time and resources. It is just a method of organizing the tasks in a very mannered way. There are different methods of project scheduling. The very first method is bar chart. We already know that from the WBS work breakdown structure, where major work is divided into smaller work, which further divided into activities or tasks or job. So uh, this each task or each activity, each job is assigned with all of resource and time. Bar representation of time scale bar line. What time scale bar line? Uh, okay, sorry. Uh, time scale bar line. Uh, there are no links between activities. Or bar chart is simply called Gantt chart. Gantt Gantt chart. Also, there are no relation or links between activities in the bar chart. Project scheduling technique are easy to read and understand if they are made under bar chart. So, what are the general steps for generating bar chart? The very step is list the project activities, the duration of each activities. We define the start and end of the each activity, start as well as end, and each activity, and we plot them. Uh, let us take an example. There are A, B, C activities. It's very simple example. A activity, B activity, and C activity. And okay, here are the days: one, two, three, 4, and 5. This is a 5-day project. Okay, so A activity takes around 1 day. B activity is it takes 2 days, but it cannot start unless the activity A is completed. So we have to start it from here to here. And so is if C is the activity, it can be started from it also depends on A. Then we can start it here or either there. It has a float, meaning it has a duration. The activity can be done in any time, or this is alternative starting or ending date, or this at the middle. Okay, so let's take an example of this. This is not a 5-day project, this is a 3-day project. Then if it is started at there. Okay, so you guys know how the bar chart is generated. What is the advantage of this bar chart? This is easy to read. I've already wrote that. Easy to read and understand. There are other methods of scheduling. Okay. The first step is bar chart. Second step is CPM, which is critical path method. In this technique, the generic idea is the general idea is we have to find a list of the chain of activity which takes a longest time known as critical path. We find a critical path, and then we rearrange the project activities according to the preceding succeeding relationship of each activities uh, to efficiently manage the project. This is known as CPM, or critical path method. In this critical path method, okay, in this critical path method, we have one thing. We already know the details of each activity. So the details of each activities is known, already known. So it is a deterministic approach of scheduling, because we already know the list of activities. We know the activities, the durations, each the resources that can be consumed by each activities. Okay, so uh, generic term we find first for critical path method. We first describe uh, the generic terminologies. What is activity? What is the event? So activity is something that has that activity is a job, of course, a job that has end and starting point. Sorry. Activity, of course, consume resources, including time and labor, etc. But event, of course, in case of activity on arrow diagram, if I plot activity, this is activity A. These are point one, let us point one and point two. Okay, so from point one to point two, the activity, it consumes resources, it consumes time, it consumes labor, it consumes time, yeah, of course. So event is activity is A, but event is a end or end or beginning of activity. This is either one or two. Both are event. They do not consume resources, no consumption of resources. They are the starting or ending points, events. Okay, so activity is this, event is this. They represent a specific point of time. Sorry, point of time. Um, and there are two types of event. Either it is head event or it is tail event of activity. Okay, either head or tail. Now, there are different kinds of activities. What are the types of activities? Let us study. Okay, types of activities. Activities type. The very first is concurrent. Concurrent activities is they can be started simultaneously. They can be done simultaneously. Second is preceding activity. Preceding activity is, suppose our activity is A. The activity before this activity B is preceding of A. Okay, and A is succeeding of B. So third kind is succeeding activity. Succeeding activity, activity, and activity. And fourth type of activity is dummy activity. Dummy activity. What is a dummy activity? Dummy activity is such kind of activity that is an imaginary kind of activity. Why there is imaginary kind of activities? If it is imaginary, it doesn't consume resources and time. So why it is used? It is used to avoid ambiguity in network diagram, or and natural logic flow, to maintain the logic flow between the diagrams. Okay, so uh, let us take an example of I have already told you guys that activity can be represented on arrow, which is AOA, the network, or AON network. Activity on node and activity on arrow. For example, this can be in this figure. A and B can be activity that can be represented on node, and 1, 2, 3 are events. Whereas in this kind of activity, we represent A and B on node, and this is just a uh, uh, event. Okay, so there are two kinds of representation: general representation of activity and event. Sorry. Now let us take example of AOA network, activity on arrow. So in that case, let us be familiar with some basic terminologies. Suppose there is a point 1, point 2, or event 1, event 2, and event 3. There are different link. This branch. This is the branch of some other networks. So we have this network. This event can be done. This has slack. Event has slack. Okay. Slack means it can be done 1 days earlier or 2 days earlier. How much earlier? This depends on the value of slack. Also, this has slack and this has slack. So there are two activities: activity one and activity two. Okay, let's consider this. Uh, Suppose we have the duration between 1 and 2 is 10 days, but we have a activity that takes only 7 days. Only 7 days. Here we have a 3 days gap of 3 days. Okay, so we can start if it has zero slack. This event has zero slack, then the earliest possible time is EST. So let me represent it here in a very solid way. This is 1, this is 2, this is first, and this is the second. Okay, so this all is total 10 days period. This takes 7 days. Earliest starting time is very earliest starting time of the event in this whole gap. The latest starting time is the latest starting time of the event if this is pushed to start as late as possible. If it starts at earliest starting time plus 7 days is the earliest finishing time of the. You guys are getting me? Yes. So earliest finishing time is earliest starting time plus duration. Duration is the active time taken by the event, taken by the activity to complete it. Okay, so this is LST and LFT is the same. So these are four kinds of uh, starting times or estimates. Activity estimates. They are called activity estimates. We will talk more about this in next video. Thank you for listening.